I was having a few technical difficulties and a grouchy child, so he might fuss and come in here, and that'll have to be okay. But I did want to hop on here, not too late, and have our training for today. So we've been talking about mindset. We've been covering a lot of different things, and we are going to put all these together. Hi, I see that somebody is on here. I'm still not quite sure how to see all of my comments and reactions, but and to see who's actually on here. Oh, Minta, there she is. Hi, Minta. So we have decided to do something. We have started acting on something. We have become aware of our thoughts. We have talked about discipline and how to keep acting. We've talked about the internal dialogue that we have within ourselves and the thought distortions that go along with that, and how it's really important that we speak positively to ourselves. So I had a few people reach out to me yesterday and a couple this morning who made some big realizations about their internal dialogues. And so I just wanted to touch on it really quickly. If you've been in a habit of saying negative things to yourself and believing those things for quite some time, it does take time to turn them around. So what I would say is to go through that behavior chain every time you encounter those thoughts. And when you realize that something's not serving you, when you start to feel anxious, when you start to feel sad, when you start to feel something, it's okay to feel those things, and you should feel those things. But that doesn't mean that you can't choose a different thought that serves you better. And it certainly doesn't mean that the things that you have believed all this time are true. Because we're actually, although certain things in life shape our lives and they do change who we are, they don't actually, those one instance, or that one instance, correct my grammar here, that one instance doesn't define who you actually are. So if you have been an addict in the past, it doesn't define who you are now and who you want to be. Yes, we acknowledge that. Yes, we learn our lessons from it and we can move forward. But that was like a huge example, but there's other things that people think shape them. Even a divorce, people feel like now they are defined by that. They feel like they lost a spouse or they lost a child. Those are really hard things. We can't ignore them, and there's going to be sadness there. There's going to be lots of emotion with any of those things. So you still need to feel it. You still need to work through it. But there are times when we can choose a thought that better serves us. And if you're having trouble with one of those, I went through a couple really hard ones with someone this morning, with a couple people this morning, and afterwards they said that, you know, they already have those thoughts there that they can use in place, but it's hard to get to them. So I want to just tell you that the more you get to them, the easier it will come, the more awareness that you can get. And when you've gone through trauma, your body often remembers, like a clock. Your body will also remember those traumas. And so you might remember it somehow in your body and have to work through that as well. But that's okay. We can do it. We can do it. I promise you. So today I really wanted to talk about our ultimate whys. And all of my clients are like, why do you cover going over your why? Why is it important for us to cover that? And every time that I cover, they're like, I go through this at work. Like, pick yourself up. We're going to go through it here too, because it does have value and it's important to remember. So I've asked you for a couple days now to really like get those goals in order, to write them down, to decide what you wanted to act on. If you're not already, if it's not the one you chose earlier in the week, I want you to think about another one. I want you to think about like a 6-week goal and maybe a 12-week goal, something like that. So like a short and a moderate term. I don't need your 5-year plan, although it's good to have an idea. I want something closer that we can get to quicker. Because if we have something a little more tangible, a little bit closer, it is easier to reach that. So bite-sized pieces. So you've got all these little, I almost said bite-sized pizzas, like bagel bites, but that's not what I mean. Pieces. You get, the more wins you get, the more you want to win, right? So we got to get you a bunch of these wins, and that's what I want to do. So maybe a 3-week, maybe a 6-week, something like that, okay? But wishing isn't going to get you anywhere. You need a plan. You need a goal. And like I just said, the more winning you do, the more motivated you are to win. And that is a good thing because you want to keep going. And that will help your motivation. I want to see who's on here. So Minta's on here. Gigi, hello. Jamie, hello. Yeah, I just wanted to say hi. So, hi, Minta. Focusing on building good habits. And in order to do that, we want to be aware and have a reason to work toward the goal that we have set. The big picture, like ultimate super motivational goal that you have is going to help you long term when you feel lost or you feel like you've lost your motivation, right? That big overall top is going to help you. And that's going to help you get back on track when you start slipping or when something pulls you away. It will, take the obstacles. You'll have some obstacles. You'll have some circumstances that come up. And the big picture is what's going to pull you back on track for the long term. But for the short term, we want to get you to have 3 parts to your goal. Like I said, super goal, like the big picture, the reason why, and how you are going to visualize those things. So you've got 3 parts. You really need your goals, you really need your reasons, and you really need to visualize it. So it's to note that the goal that you decide on right now can change. You can, once you realize it's not serving you, you can tweak it and change it. If you think today that you want to be a CrossFit athlete or something like that, and you start doing the training that goes toward that, and you're like, I changed my mind for whatever reason, then you can change your mind. But I do want you to choose a goal when you are writing these down that might seem a little far-fetched, that might seem hard to do. Hey, Marcia. Something that is going to take work. So first, I want you to think about a time when you set a goal that you did reach. What was that? For me, I remember, a big one in my life that's easy to recall is going to college. I knew I wanted to go to college. Now I have no idea why I wanted to go to college, but I did. I wanted to go to college. And that was like one of my big goals. And I did the things I had to do to get there. I learned how to fill out an application. I learned how to get a job so that I could pay for it. I learned how to study and time manage. And I learned how to pass my tests so that I learned the materials. I did the things. I stayed up late. I worked hard. I forgot to make friends. I made one friend in college. Uno. And she's wonderful. but you think of a time that you set a goal that you did reach. We do have some wins in our playbook. If you've been stuck in a rut for a while, if you decided that maybe your plan was to get married and have children, and you did that and you've been there for a while. I talked to a lady about this yesterday. It's easy to get in a rut. That doesn't mean you haven't accomplished something. You wanted to get married. You wanted to have children. You've done those things. You had to do all the work to get those things. So those count. Just because you haven't done it in a while doesn't mean you can't do it. Now, most of my clients I work, they're professional women. They've got lots of stuff going on. So they often tap into that. They had to get their doctorate degrees. They're lawyers. They're the go-to person at work. They know how to get projects done. They know how to get them done on time. They know how to do them with a crap team. They know that they're not going to miss the deadline because so-and-so didn't pull his weight. They know how they are movers and shakers. So you know how to get stuff done. Break down your goal into those 3 parts. The big reason and the short-term goal aren't going to be one part, but there's 2 pieces. And then your reason why and your visualization of that. To be something, like I said, that's a little bit farther than you have ever thought before. You want it to be something that excites you to work toward. That excites you to work toward every day. Because if we're talking about your health and wellness or your job or pretty much anything, then you need to put effort into it daily. Whether that effort is actual physical effort, mental effort, or visualization, what do I really want out of this? Then you've got to put effort into it daily. A weekly effort isn't going to get you there quickly, and it's going to be hard to keep motivation for a weekly effort. So we want a daily effort. So I want you to think of your goal. If you don't have one, then I encourage you to grab one really quick just to practice. Something that maybe you've thought of before, but you're not sure that's what you want to do. But we'll see. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to talk about that goal to yourself. I want you to visualize my 6-year-old standing beside you and asking you why. Because he does. Why do you want that? Why is that important to you? Why does that excite you? That excites you? Really? Why? Really, Mom? You want to do that? Why? I want you to do that over and over and over. I want you to think of that little child that you know who always asks why, and answer them. Answer them. When you get down to the core of the reason you want this thing, you will be willing to jump through hoops for it. You are willing to do the hard stuff daily if that's what it takes to achieve your goal. Does it all have to be hard? No, it doesn't, because you should be enjoying it along the way. All right? If you start working towards something that is totally horrible the whole way, you might consider something else. For instance, maybe you have this physical goal that you want to do Tough man contests. Tough man contests. Well, maybe I don't know much about the training, but maybe you start and you realize that your joints hurt and your body aches all the time, and that doesn't feel good to you. Maybe you start doing it and you love those things. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sore, but it's great because I'm getting stronger. You've got to decide, which one are you? Do you need to pivot, or are you pushing on? It's okay if you have to pivot. It's okay if you want to push on because it's you and your life, but I encourage you to make sure that something about it is enjoyable and that you are actually loving yourself in the process. If you are hating every minute of it, you will quit. So choose something else. Don't quit. Pivot. Well, you know what? I hate yoga. Well, I love bar. I hate lifting weights, but I love kettlebells. You know, there's ways to pivot. And if you need a pivot, of course, we can talk about that because my clients pivot all the time. I start them with movement and they're like, they either love it or they hate it. And if they hate it, we find something that they like because I want them to move. So you're doing your why. Child for that. I can get them on here to do it. We can do a why seminar. At the end, you should feel inspired. Now, at the end, you should have answers to questions. You should be able to tell me, what is your short-term goal? What is your long-term goal? Why do you want to achieve it? Why is that important to you? And then you're going to tell me why that is important to you. And then you're going to tell me why that is important to you. Then you're going to say, does this excite me? Yes or no? Is this something I'm willing to get out of bed for every day? Would you risk things that are important to you for this? And I'm not talking about people, but I'm talking about things. Like, would you give up your favorite pair of shoes to have this? And if so, why? Once you've thought through those things, you've gotten pretty close to the core. It should be something that tells you exactly, you should know without a doubt that this thing is for you. And of course, like I said, when you start taking action toward it and you need to pivot, you will know that that's okay. We're also not defined by the goals that we do or don't reach, because we're constantly reaching for another, right? So if we decide that one's not for us and we reset it, it doesn't matter. It's fine. We're moving forward, right? It doesn't make you a quitter. It just means that wasn't serving you. Because that is also an internal dialogue, a thought distortion that people are like, oh, I can't change my goal. I said I was going to do this. But if the whole journey is terrible, you're not going to appreciate it when you get there. So don't worry about it. Pivot. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that a lot of people don't talk about is it's sometimes good to also have, it's good to have your reason why you're doing something, but it's also good to have the opposite, the reason why you're not doing something else or something that you used to do. Often the reason, this is really important, often the reason you're not doing something is because you've maybe been there before and you can visualize the pain or hardship that you had then. It's a way that you can also motivate yourself on the really hard days, on the days that, well, I'm telling myself that I need to rest, although I know, in my heart, maybe that's not true, or vacations are great, rest days are good, don't get me wrong, but there are days when we lie to ourselves and think that we need something that we don't actually need, and our reason why we're not going back there or why we don't want to revisit that is very powerful as well. So knowing that is not a bad thing. So if you are or have been in some sort of pain around the area that you're trying to change, a lot of you have, then it's okay to say, well, the reason why I am going to get out of bed and I'm not going to sleep in is because I know that my joints hurt when I stay in the bed. I know that I have family history of diabetes, of heart disease, of obesity. I'm not letting that happen to me. So my motivation is that I don't want those things. So don't discount the reason why you don't want to go back or the reason why you are moving forward. Those reasons why are also very valid. And they will propel you on really hard times too. Minta says, I lie to myself sometimes. Most definitely. I think I'm trying to justify what I want versus what I need to get to my goal. Absolutely. Minta, that is 100%. Like, we do that. We are humans. And that is what our brain is supposed to do. Our brains, man, they are smart, but they're not. They are trickery, and they want us to be safe. That is why we have brains, to keep us safe. So they don't want us taking risky moves. People who, I went skydiving recently, and jumping out of an airplane makes no sense to your brain. And one of the reasons why I did it was to tell my brain, you're not in charge. Yes, this is scary. I'm fine. I'm going to do this because of these reasons. Well, I could give you that example. Why did I want to jump out of a plane? To face a fear. To tell my brain that it's not in charge. Why else did I want to jump out of that plane? Because I wanted to do it during the day so that I had to take time off from work. Why else did you do it, Rebecca? Well, because it's kind of, it's not a cheap thing to do. And I haven't celebrated my business in a while. I haven't celebrated, I just haven't celebrated much, and I wanted to celebrate, and I wanted to celebrate in the middle of the day, so I had to take time off from work to do it, and I wanted to celebrate with my friends and my nephew. I also wanted to do it because my nephew has never done it, and he wanted to do it, so I was like, yes, let's do it. It's so empowering. So all of those things. It also gave me a lot of thoughts and material to talk to you guys about when it comes to our brains and how they want to keep us safe. Those are what excited me. So as I'm like getting ready, I'm nervous and the air's hitting me in the face, but I'm going out of that plane because I intend to fear less and live more. And to teach my brain that that's okay. To also teach my brain it's okay to do it in the middle of the day. If you've worked very hard, you can celebrate that way. It is fine. Take a vacation. What else? I want to hear. I want you to post them. I want you to answer the questions, all the questions. I want to know what you're planning to do, short term and long term, why it's important to you, just your ultimate reason, the one that makes you cry or the one that gives you chills or the one that's hard to say. I want to know that one. And then I want you today, this evening, tonight, I want you to think about what that will look like. What will it feel like? How is it going to change you? I want you to see it through? What are the things you're going to have to learn? Visualize all of it. What's it going to look like? How's it going to feel? Who are you going to meet along the way? Who do you need to meet along the way? Who's going to support you? Who might not support you? Who might you think is going to support you and then they don't? Like, I want you to really think about how it looks. It's still going to look differently. So your visualization is going to change as you move along. You'll be like, well, scratch that and add this in. And that's fine. It's part of what makes it fun and keeps us going. Are those, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, right? There's going to be wrenches thrown at you. It's okay. Share all the things with me. Share them.